The amplitude of a trigonometric function is talking about how high or how low you go from the midline of the function. So you got to find the line that's exactly in the middle. Okay, and that's kind of tough to do sometimes. Oh, I guess here's an easy way. Look, this is -7 on the y-axis, and this is 5 on the y-axis. So you just need to find the middle point between those two. So you need to calculate the mean. So if you add them, 5 plus -7 makes -2. -2 divided by 2 makes -1. So y equals -1 is our midline. Okay, so it is this line right here. The amplitude is just the distance from the midline to the peak. Or, conversely, it's the distance from the midline to the bottom of your graph. Just always positive, okay? So we're up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the midline. So that's our amplitude. The period is how many x units it takes until you start repeating the graph. So if we start thinking about x equals 0, then it takes us until we get to x equals 3 before we start repeating ourselves. So the period of this graph is 3. To make the graph of this function here, f of x, we're going to note that the period the amplitude is 1/2. Okay, so that means it's going to go, wherever we find the midline, it goes up 1/2 and down 1/2 from the midline. And then it's a -1/2 here, cosine 1/3 x. So let's see what happens if you plug in 0. Let's just get some data points to get a rough idea of what this graph looks like. If you plug in x equals 0, you get out 0 for the argument, and then cosine of 0 is 1, like we've seen in previous work, right? So 1 times -1/2 means makes -1/2. So this graph starts at 0, -1/2. And that's because of this negative sign. Cosine of x, when you don't mess with it at all, it usually starts at the peak, and then it does its normal trigonometric function type thing. Because it's a -1/2, it starts at the bottom instead of at the top. And then we want to know how long it takes until this thing starts repeating itself, so you can use the formula for the period. The period is 2 pi divided by b, where b is the coefficient of x. So this is 2 pi divided by 1/3. So we know how to take care of that fraction. We flip and multiply. So this thing repeats itself after 6 pi units. So start at x equals 0. When you get to 6 pi, then we should have another dot. So this thing needs to get to the peak. So at 1/2, oops, that's too fast. Reaches 1/2, and then needs to be down to back to -1/2 before it starts repeating itself again. Okay, so that's one period of the graph. It'll just keep repeating that process.